Hey now, Brawlers, it's time for another Board Game Brawl review with Nick Minahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com.
Today we're going to take a look at Dragon's Gold, originally from White Goblin Games, and that's the edition of the game I have. I've had it for quite a while, actually. I just never got around to reviewing it. As you can see, it's in a tin, but the new version of the game, which should be out very, very soon from IDW Pandasaurus Games, comes in a box, and I think the only other major difference is that it uses those same cheap plastic gemstones I've seen in a million other games I originally saw in Ascension, instead of the discs that come in this older version of the game. So I'm talking about the older version, but really it's mostly the same as the newer one as well. Now, obviously, if I've had this game for my collection for a while, you know that I like it quite a bit, but why do I like it? Well, let me explain the theme first. You are a group of adventurers, or I should say that each player gets a bunch of cards representing a generic group of adventurers, and you are killing dragons in order to get their treasure. But killing the dragons is the easy part. It's kind of inconsequential in the course of the game. The real fun of the game, perhaps for you, is getting and divvying up the treasure that these dragons leave behind. The dragons are just bags of gold that you're trying to burst open. It's how you negotiate for the treasure they leave behind that is all the difference. So let's go ahead and take a brief look at how the game is played. Then we're going to come back and I'll let you know what I think. Alright, I'm going to give you a very brief overview of Dragon's Gold. This is a competitive game for 2 to 6 players. You field a team of adventurers, at least that's what's on the cards that you have, that are trying to kill dragons. And when you kill dragons, treasure pops out of them, because that's what dragons are full of. They're like gold piñatas. And you and the other players are going to share that treasure, but that's where the interesting part of the game comes in. Killing the dragons is easy. It's just a matter of putting down cards with numbers on them. It's how you share, divvy up the treasure that is really going to determine who the winner of the game is. You're going to keep playing until this bag of gems that you'll be drawing out of, and gems and other precious metals, is completely empty. When the last gem is taken out of it and put onto a dragon, then all you do is kill the dragons that are out on the table already, and once they are all dead, the game ends, and whoever has the most points from all the gems and metals that they've collected is going to be the winner of the game. So in the initial setup, every player is going to get a screen, which they're going to hide their winnings behind. They're going to get a random magic item from the deck if you're playing with the advanced rules, which I do recommend that you do. And they're going to receive 4 adventurers in a color of their choice. The artwork is mostly the same, only the color is different. Even the numbers and abilities are the same, and I'll get back to those in a minute. Then you're going to have a deck of the dragon cards, and you're going to lay out 4 dragon cards at random. You're also going to get a card called the market card, which you are going to put in the very middle of the deck. So between the 7th and the 8th cards. Shuffle up the rest of the magic items, assuming you're playing with the advanced rules, and then set the sand timer right next to there, and the bag of the gems. Now, what you're going to have to do is take the gems and populate the dragon cards with however many they're supposed to get. Now, on the bottom of these dragon cards, well, I'll tell you, there's all 3 numbers that are important on the dragon cards. First up at the top is the strength of the dragon. Players are going to be placing their adventurer cards onto these dragons, and when you can meet or beat that number, anything less does nothing, but when you meet or beat the number, the dragon dies and drops all of its treasure. Now, down at the bottom, there are 2 different numbers corresponding to the treasure. One of the numbers is how much open treasure the dragon has, meaning this is how much treasure the adventurers know that the dragon has, and the players know that they have. But then there is hidden treasure. This treasure does not get populated on the card right away. Instead, you will draw them from the bag after the dragon dies, and then before the negotiation begins for the treasure. So, through the magic of time-lapse video, I will now populate the dragon cards with treasure. Alright, now the dragons have their treasure. Now let's go over what each of these treasures are. And by the way, the points that these are worth also vary depending on whether you're playing with the advanced rules or not. And remember, I do kind of recommend that you play with the advanced rules unless it's just too big of a deal for you. So, first you have a couple of the common ones. You have golds and silvers. And by the way, I guess I'll mention this, just like I mentioned in my intro and my outro, the new edition of this game will have gems, like actual crystal, cheap, chintzy gems instead of these discs. I tend to prefer the disc, but that's just me. The game will also come in a box without a tin as well. Now these, the gold and the silver, are going to be worth 3 point and 1 point respectively at the end of the game. That's it. There's no special rules regarding those. They're just straight up points, good old reliable points. Now, the reds, the magic items, these are a bit different. If you're able to take a red gem with your wizard, you're actually able to draw one of the magic item cards. Now, even if you didn't take a red gem with a wizard, you'll still get a point for those at the end of the game. The magic objects was what they're. These are magic objects, or represent magic objects anyways. But if you did take it with the wizard, that's when you'll be able to get the magic object card. And you'll start the game with one of those as well, as I illustrated. But I'll just show you a few of these to give you an idea of what they can do. Of course, they might be out of context since I haven't explained the rest of the game yet. But you have cards like the Ring of Recall, which play this card at the beginning of your turn. Turn all of your face-down adventurers face up. The Instant Captor. Play this card when another player plays a magic object card. You can take the magic object card, discard it, and add it to your hand. Stinking Cloud. You take your adventurer back and must play it onto a different region or the player that you target with it. The Gem of Many Colors. You can choose a color and have this card count as that at the end of the game for scoring. And the Invisible Hand is sort of the filch of this game, and that it gives you the capability of cheating. You are allowed to cheat as long as you have this card. You can secretly steal gems or treasure from other cards or other dragon cards during the course of the game, only one at a time. And if you're caught, you have to give up the card, but you don't have to give up the treasure that you already stole. All right, and now the other types of gems that there are, or most of the other ones, are these precious gems. I keep calling them gems, and they're all treasure collectively, but these are the precious gems. There's 5 different kinds of them. And what you're trying to do with these is a couple of different things. First, if you can have a majority on any of the colors, you're going to get a lot of points at the end of the game, extra points. But also, having sets of all 5 of them will give you a massive point bonus as well. And the last, literally the black sheep of the treasure family, is the black gem. This one gives you a whopping 19 points at the end of the game. However, just by having it in your possession, it's cursed. All of your other precious gems are worth nothing. So it can be dangerous to go ahead and try and take this, but it could be a lot of points so long as you haven't been focusing too primarily on the precious gems since then. Now, how does this all work in practice from turn to turn? Well, you're going to pick a starting player, and then starting with that player, you're going to take one of your adventurer cards, and you're going to put it down onto one of the dragons. Put it in front, and now that adventurer is locked in on that dragon. Now, like I said before, what you're trying to do here is have the sum total of all the adventurers that are, and this is their strength rating right here, have the sum total of all the adventurers from any player who are attached to one of these dragons meet or beat the strength of that dragon. When you're able to do that, like let's say that I, as the blue player, was able to, I put out that thief, and then the yellow player goes ahead and puts out this knight, that's a 3. Well, we're still not there yet, but then the orange player puts out the wizard, which has a 1 strength. So that's a total of 6. That's enough to make it pop. Now, first off, this is a hidden dragon. So when this dragon dies, it immediately drops 2 more gems randomly from the bag. And, well, there's a lot of silver on this guy. And now there's a magic object as well. And then, right then and there, you determine who those 3 players are who have adventurers on this dragon. And now, if it was just one player, if one player had put out all the adventures on a single dragon, which very rarely happens, then only that player would just take all of this treasure. That's it. But if there's more than one player on that dragon, negotiations commence after the hidden gems are popped out. You flip over the sand timer, and right then and there, you have a minute to come to a decision as to how this treasure is going to be divvied up. Only the treasure for the dragon that you just killed. You can make any kind of deal that you want that does not involve, like, random things that you have to do or future promises. It's all about just what can you do for me right now. Well, okay, I want these silver, so I'll just take 2 of these silver, and I guess you'll take the purple, right? Well, I don't want the purple, I want the red, and so on and so forth. You are simply haggling over who gets what now. Now, there's the important thing to mention here is that if at the end of the 1 minute, once the timer runs out, you have not come to a deal for whatever the reason is. It could just be that one person says, nope, I'm not making a deal, and just freezes and doesn't do anything. Whatever the reason is, if you cannot come to a deal that every party is happy with, nobody gets the gems. Every one of these gems gets put back into the box, out of the game, not in the bag, just out of the box. Nobody gets them. And then that dragon goes away, and is going to get replaced with a whole bunch of new treasure. And all the people who put adventurers there take their adventurers back and put them face down in front of them, because they're essentially out of it until you've used up all of your adventures. It gets to the start of your turn and you don't have any more adventurers to put out onto dragons. You get to take your adventurers back into hand. Now, a couple of things that I didn't go into is that 2 of the adventurers actually have special abilities: the thief and the wizard. Now, the thief, when you play this pleasant individual, he actually gets to sneak behind one of the other players' screens and steal a treasure from behind it. They don't get to see what that treasure is unless they were played in conjunction with the wizard. If they were played in conjunction with the wizard, meaning that on that same dragon they had also placed both the wizard and a thief, then the wizard casts a spell and lets the thief see behind the screen to see which treasure that they want to steal. But the wizard also has a special thing about him as well. The wizard prioritizes magic objects. If he is the only one involved in a negotiation, the only wizard involved in a negotiation, that player will immediately take any magic objects involved. If there's more than one player who played a wizard that's involved in the negotiation, then the magic objects are up for grabs, just the same as any other type of treasure. But also, as I mentioned before, if and only if a wizard was involved in the negotiation and takes a magic object for that player, then you get to draw magic object cards from the deck. So it can be very important to play your wizard and your thief strategically as opposed to the other cards that you have. And the last thing I'll mention is that, as I kind of mentioned before, you have the market card, which is halfway through the deck. When the market card comes up, all the players immediately have 1 minute, you'll flip over the timer again, to basically trade, barter, and make deals with each other. If you really want a particular type of gem or treasure, now is your time to make an offer to other players who may or may not have it, because you may not have seen what they've been keeping track of what they've been grabbing throughout the rest of the game. But now is your time to try and make those deals. Once that minute is up, then play continues. You keep going until you run out of tokens in the bag. You'll put them on the last dragon. Keep playing until all the dragons have been removed from play and all the treasure is gone and divvied up. At that point, everyone reveals what they have from behind their screen. Count points depending on what rule set you're using, advanced rules or normal rules. Whoever has the most points at that point is the winner of the game. That's Dragon's Gold. Let's get to my final thoughts. Well, I'll say up front, Dragon's Gold is a great game. It's also a game that I will freely say is not going to be liked by everyone, and I've encountered this in my group. It has been a big hit overall. Some of the people I've played it with have loved it. I had one person who was a brand new gamer, completely new to games. We played this night because I thought it'd be kind of light and something I could introduce to her. She fell in love with it and imported a copy at pretty great expense at that time. So there's some people who loved it, and some people who just couldn't stand it, and I'll explain more about that in a minute. So let's talk about the theme and the components. Well, components first. Components are awesome. I don't typically like games that come in a tin, but this one's tin looks really great, and it works pretty well for the size of it. Now, of course, the new version of the game from IDW comes in a box, which is fine, I guess, although all of IDW's boxes are a weird size anyways, which are usually just as unwieldy as a tin. As far as the rest of the components go, I love the artwork on the cards and the discs as opposed to gems with the new version. I don't really care for either, but I think the discs are fine. At least they take up less space and don't clink around as much. I am really just sick of seeing those generic gems. I've seen them in so many games now and just in different colors, so I don't really care for them, so I'm okay with the disc, and that's why that combined with the tin, I'm not really rushing out to get the new version of it. But those are the only functional differences as far as I know. But like I said, I love the artwork as well. The theme of the game is not like totally strong. I guess you could retheme this into a lot of different things, but it works for what it is as far as being a group of adventurers and popping open these dragons. And like I said in the intro, and hopefully you understood during the overview, dragon killing is not really what this game is about. You could have made it trolls and it would have been the same thing, or you could have made it, I don't know, seizing control of a company and divvying up its assets. Nah, it probably wouldn't work right. So the theme is okay. I guess it works well for what it is. On to the gameplay. Now, first off, the reason why I say that there are some people who are just not going to like this game is because of the central tenet of the game, which is the negotiation. Because this is negotiation based on very little other than, I want this, you want this, but I'm not going to let you have this, and you're not going to let me have this, so we're not going to come to an agreement. Or what if we did this and this? It is just pure negotiation, like almost the purest sense, cutting away everything else, at least for that brief period of time. And some people are just not going to be into it, and that is what I've discovered. Some people love it, some people love that tension, and I think it works well for what it is. Together with the card play and with the magic items, you can mitigate that to some degree. And when you look at it like that, it's like a more complex set collection game. And that's kind of where I come at it where I don't need to do super well in negotiations as long as I can get the gems that I need. And so I've always managed to do pretty well in the game, either winning or coming very close to winning. But some people just freeze when it comes time for that negotiation. It's something that you should definitely be aware of before you get into the game. I cannot universally recommend it, but for people that are into it, it's great. I love the back and forth of haggling with people because, again, for me, it's not necessarily about I have to get everything that I want. It's just, give me a few things. That's fine. I'll do better next time. And using the special powers of the thieves and the wizards, and hopefully using them together if you can in order to get the best possible deal out of it, and stealing stuff from people, and the agony of watching someone reach behind your screen and grab something that you're like, oh, I needed that so badly, and you don't want to let on to the rest of the group. That whole scenario is just really, really interesting. The different ways to win, whether you want the black gem or whether you want to go for the different gems and trying to get the sets of those, or just going for the gold and silver. The magic objects, if you can pull that off, are great and give a lot of flavor to the game. So there is a lot of interesting stuff here. It's a lot of fun if you're the right person for it. And if you are, I think this has actually been a criminally underlooked game for a long time, and I'm glad that it's being re-released, even if I'm not totally thrilled with the way that it's being re-released. But hopefully this means that there might even be some expansions in the future. That is Dragon's Gold, currently from White Goblin Games, but soon to be IDW Pandasaurus Games.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your support.